As I do this reading, I'm just going to be reading the cards and sharing with you what I'm getting from them. But what I'd like for you to do is also look at each of the cards yourself, because I can give you all of the different ideas or perspectives or what I'm receiving. But what's most important is what you get from the card. So we're going to read these together. The Oracle card setting the tone for this week is seeing the true you. Now, on this card, you see a woman that is staring down into some water. So she's looking at her reflection. And when you look at yourself, are you seeing just a reflection of what you want to see, or are you looking underneath that to see what's really down there? And I believe that this week is the perfect opportunity for you to look deeper, because what you might find could be the answer to what may be blocking you or holding you back in some areas of your life that you really want to move forward in. So that's something to think about. The first tarot card is what's coming forward. What is it? What is there for you to be thinking or looking at? And this is the Four of Pentacles. Now, on this, you have a king sitting on a throne, or a person sitting there in his chair, a wealthy man, whatever you want to call it. And he's got four pentacles. He has two under his feet. He's holding one, and there's one on his crown. So that means that he's earned his position based on worldly possessions. So he has everything together. He's quite well off. He has what he needs, and he's very content. But he's deep in thought. He's looking down and he's pondering something, and that may be where you are. If you're wondering, why is my life not going the way I want it to go? I work so hard. I have sacrificed so much, and still I'm not happy. When is there enough? When am I going to have enough? When will I ever see the break that I want? This is a time to really think about your inner thoughts. What do you think about worldly possessions? What do you think about your money, your success, your wealth, or whatever you own? All those things that you work so hard to obtain and get. What are your actual thoughts on that? Are they making you happy? Do you own the possessions, or do the possessions own you? This is a huge area to be thinking about, especially in our society where it's all about amass as much wealth as you possibly can have, get everything you can possibly get. There's never going to be enough. People are hoarding things because they are concerned that they're never going to have enough. In the process of that, though, what are you sacrificing? You're sacrificing your happiness, your time with family, the time with your partner, so many things that you set aside because you have to work harder and achieve more. Also, too, you may be doing this because you are trying to keep up with other people. And that's a very common thing that shows up in readings quite a bit. It's like keeping up with the Joneses. And in the process of that, you sacrifice yourself, and you don't even know who you are anymore after a while because you're just trying to collect so much. So what's coming forward is the opportunity for you to really think about how you prioritize your life and where things fall on that priority list. Is your family first, or is your job first? Is your partner or spouse the love of your life, or is making more money the love of your life? Where are your priorities? A barrier to this is the second card, and this is the Emperor. Now, looking at this card, you see a very regal person sitting there on the throne wearing a crown. Again, quite wealthy, has it all together, has his scepter, and he's holding his little globe, and the globe represents the worldly side, the possession side. He has everything together. He's an emperor, so he rules a kingdom of that earthly plane. He's got it. And is that how you feel about yourself? Are you sitting there on your throne wanting to make sure that you have everything under your control, all the earthly possessions, you have everything you need, and do you ever really have enough? Perhaps the barrier on this is that you are so tight-fisted and close-minded when it comes to the material side of things. Now, emperors and any type of ruler, usually they get their power through a line of succession. So they inherit from the person before them. It's quite possible that your thoughts around material possessions or earthly goods or money, finance, they're ideas that were passed down to you from the previous generation, and they receive theirs from the previous generation before them. This is very common. It's very normal, especially when you go back a couple of generations where they went through real hardship and they literally had to scrape everything together just to survive. We don't necessarily live in that world today, although times are hard economically and people are having to make very serious choices and a lot of sacrifices. But sometimes it's not a sacrifice. We are making a conscious decision to prioritize one thing over the other. You don't have to have a lot of money to spend quality time, which is free, quality time with your loved ones, with your children, your spouse, your partner, your pets. It doesn't take a lot of money to do that. That's something that you can do for free. But are you allowing yourself to do that? Or are you very tight-minded as to how you move forward with your time? If your time is spent working constantly, that means you're not giving any quality time to the people that you love or to the things that you love. And that takes away your joy. So a barrier is, don't be a tyrant over your worldly possession domain. Allow something new to come in. Now, the emperor is very mind focused. So it's about the logic, the intellect. And it's quite easy in life to say, no, I'm not going to take my family on that vacation because that's going to cost too much money. The gas prices are really high. Hotels are high. And for anything that you don't want to spend money on or do, you'll find a lot of reasons of why not to do it. So really think about that. That is a barrier. Where are your thoughts when it comes to those areas? Are they balanced, or are you always leaning on one side and sacrificing the other? Something to consider. Now, a way forward on this is the Six of Swords. And just to cut to the chase, this card to me says it is time to get off the hamster wheel. Seriously, you just have been working way too hard in some areas. You're putting too much focus on one side. Now, if you look at this card, you see a person, and he's rowing his little boat, and he's got his I'll say his family in there too. So this indicates that it's time for a break. On one side of the boat, the waters are really troubled, ripply. On the other side, where he's headed toward, it's very smooth, calm sailing. Perhaps a way forward is to take a break, to go on a little retreat or something. Perhaps take your spouse, maybe your whole family. But in particular, I'm really feeling on this one, it is time to have a family meeting with your spouse or the other person that you manage your life with, or if it's just you by yourself. Get away from the rat race and say, it's time for a meeting. We need to reprioritize here. Where are we headed? Is it where we want to be going? Are we comfortable where we are? Or do we need to make some changes? And it can be something really simple. Again, you don't need a lot of money to spend quality time with someone. Perhaps build in the budget money for a night out, whether it's going to play putt-putt golf, going to the movie, going to eat at a restaurant everyone loves, Chuck E. Cheese. But, something like that the kids would love. Build some time in there to start restructuring your life, to give yourself a break. Get off the hamster wheel. The scene behind me shows rats in a maze, and you can see that part of it says work harder, earn more money. happiness just around the corner, happiness just around the corner. There's never happiness in that rat race. It never ends. You can work yourself to death. More than that, though, you can lose everyone in your life that you care about by being solely focused on the material possession side of things. So, Six of Swords, it's time for a break. Sail to smoother waters. And here again, taking the family, it means it's something that there's other people involved in this process too, because you all have a life together. And as a collective group, you need to sail in the same boat in the same direction. Something to consider on that too. The last card is, I'm going to call it the way to pull all this together, you know, the energy to adopt, or however you want to put it. But this is the charioteer. This charioteer, the person driving the chariot, is you. It's about your life. I want to read something to you on this. And I think this will help make this card even more meaningful for you. And it says, the charioteer is driven to master the physical plane and the conscious mind. The conscious mind is composed of the personality and the ego. If a person has weak self-esteem, that person, as the charioteer, would find life difficult to master. Persistence of purpose, determination, and passion are necessary to succeed on the physical plane. The black and white sphinxes before the chariot have no gear harnessing them to the chariot. Well, that's important to look on this card. There are no reins or anything there. The sphinxes that represent the personality and the ego, the dualistic balance there, they are just hooked up to nothing. So your chariot is driven by your mind, your thoughts. That's what drives your life. So where are your thoughts right now when it comes to the area of pentacles or the area of worldly goods, earthly possessions? Where are your thoughts? Because that is what's fueling your chariot. That's the direction that you're headed. So it's very important this week that you do make some time to stop and think about this. Is my life going where I want it to go? If it's not, and something's not right, this may be the area that's behind it, something that you've not looked at, the true you. You know how the world feels about this because everybody is in a rat race to get ahead. Think about all the conveniences we buy for the home to make our life easier. It just makes it harder because we have to work harder to buy it or to pay it off. What's your credit card debt like? Are they for things that brought you joy and happiness? Or are they for things that you felt you had to have because everybody else had them? And now you're working very hard, several jobs even possibly, just to pay them off. Was it worth it? That's the question. What is the most valuable thing in your life? Is it your relationships, your loved ones, or is it your worldly goods? I want to pull one last card, and this is a crystal card. And I think that this can help you this week as you work through this process and also look more closely at the things that maybe you're not seeing about yourself. And this is Obsidian, Sharp and Shadows. I'd like to read from the booklet on this one. Let's be clear. Obsidian is not a gentle friend. Precise? Yes. Masterful? Always. Quicker than a cheetah taking down a gazelle? Absolutely. But gentle? That's not Obsidian's domain. An uncompromising mirror and a surgically sharp blade, Obsidian helps you see your shadows and excise them. No long, drawn-out therapy sessions or weeks of vacillating. When it's time to let go, Obsidian tells you there's no mercy in taking it slow. And that, in and of itself, is sometimes a relief. When you need the kind of honesty that lets you see your shadows clearly, when you are truly ready to make a final and clean break, when you want the letting go to be fast, call on obsidian. If obsidian is appearing, there is something or someone you need to cut loose. I hope that can help you this week. And thank you so much for following me on the metaphysical journey. Have a beautiful evening.